Okay, let's talk about something we all see every single day online. You're scrolling and you're just hit with this tidal wave of diet rules, right? They're always super simple, super confident, and half the time they completely contradict each other. One day fat is the enemy, the next day it's carbs. It's so confusing and honestly, it sets us up to fail. So we're going to dive into this and figure out what is really going on.
You've heard this one a million times. It's the perfect piece of viral advice. It's one simple rule with one clear villain. Just cut out carbs and you'll lose weight. And it's so appealing, isn't it? Because it sounds like this easy fix to what feels like a really complicated problem.
And this is the real question, right? If the solution was really as simple as just cutting out an entire food group, why are so many of us stuck in this loop of trying and failing over and over again? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, the problem isn't you. The problem is literally baked right into the advice itself.
Now, let's be fair. When you first start one of these really rigid diets, it often feels like absolute magic. The results can come on so fast, and it is incredibly motivating. That initial success is exactly what gets you hooked, and it's why these ideas just spread like wildfire online. But what's actually happening under the surface, it's not what you think.
So you hop on the scale after a week of no carbs, and you are thrilled. You're thinking, wow, I've torched a ton of body fat. But the reality? It's a little different. That really quick drop you see is mostly due to two things: a big flush of water weight and the simple fact that you've probably, by default, stopped eating a lot of junk food.
And seeing a number like this, that's a huge psychological win. It feels amazing, but here's what's actually causing it. Your body stores carbohydrates in your muscles and your liver in a form called glycogen. And get this, for every single gram of glycogen, your body holds on to about 3 to 4 grams of water with it. So when you cut carbs, your body burns through that stored glycogen and whoosh, all that water gets flushed out. It looks great on the scale, but it's a temporary drop, not actual fat loss.
But there's another, honestly more important reason for that initial success. Think about it. When someone says, I'm cutting carbs, what are they really cutting out? Usually it's things like cookies, soda, chips, late-night pizza. Foods that are these calorie-dense bombs of refined carbs, fats, and sugar. The real win isn't from cutting out a sweet potato. It's from cutting out the ultra-processed stuff.
Okay, so you get past that honeymoon haze, and then all of a sudden, the scale just stops moving. It hits a wall. You're still following the rules perfectly, but nothing. This is the point where people start to blame themselves. But what's really happening is that your biology, your own body, is starting to push back. And listen to me, this is not a failure of willpower. It is a survival instinct kicking in.
This idea is called metabolic adaptation. And you have to remember, your body is not a simple machine. It is an incredible survival expert that has been fine-tuned over millennia of evolution. It doesn't know you're trying to get a six-pack for summer. It just senses a sudden, drastic drop in energy and thinks, oh no, famine. So in response, it does something really smart. It becomes more efficient. It starts burning fewer calories to do the exact same amount of work. It's a protective measure, not a personal flaw.
And this whole process gets cranked up to 11 when we combine aggressive dieting with other stressors. Because what's the typical advice? Eat less and move more, right? But often that's taken to an extreme. So you're drastically cutting calories, you're adding these grueling workouts, and you're probably stressed out about all of it, which of course messes with your sleep. This combination creates the absolute perfect storm for chronically high levels of cortisol, your body's main stress hormone.
And this is the part that is so frustrating it makes you want to scream. Cortisol's main job in a crisis is to make sure you have enough energy to survive. And one of the ways it does that is by telling your body to store energy in the most accessible, most protected place it can find, right around your vital organs, in your abdomen. So the very act of stressing your body out to lose belly fat can biologically signal it to hold onto that fat even tighter. It's so frustrating, but from a survival standpoint, it makes perfect sense.
So your progress is totally stalled because of biology. But the simple viral advice that you're following? It gives you zero explanation for this. It doesn't offer any nuance, no plan B. And this is where the psychological fallout begins. And honestly, it's maybe the most damaging part of this entire cycle.
This timeline just captures the whole emotional journey perfectly. You start out with so much hope. You're fired up by this one simple rule. That first week feels amazing, and you think you've finally cracked the code. But by month 2, when that metabolic adaptation kicks in and progress just flatlines, the simple rule gives you no answers. So by month 3, the only conclusion you can possibly come to is that you are the problem. You start thinking, I guess I just don't have enough willpower.
And this, right here, is the most crucial point of this whole conversation. The system is designed to fail, but it's also designed to make you believe that you are the one who failed. That rigid, incomplete advice doesn't account for human biology, it doesn't account for psychology, and when your body inevitably and smartly pushes back, the narrative tells you that you just weren't disciplined enough. It's a brilliant way to keep you coming back for the next simple rule. Okay, so if the simple, rigid rules are basically setting us all up to fail, then what's the alternative? Well, it's not about finding some other, better rule. It's about shifting our entire way of thinking, moving away from a framework of restriction and punishment and towards one of sustainability and really partnership with our own bodies. And this is what that shift actually looks like. So instead of a rigid rule like never eat carbs, we adopt a flexible principle, like just focusing on food quality. Instead of the vague and punishing always eat less, we make sure we're getting enough protein and fiber so that we actually feel full and support our bodies. And instead of just pushing harder all the time, we finally recognize that sleep and stress management are totally non-negotiable foundations for our health. So to help you sort through all the noise in the future, here are some major red flags to watch out for. If any piece of advice uses absolute words like never or always, or it uses moral language that makes food sound good or bad, clean or dirty, be skeptical. If it promises one single secret hack, or it blames one nutrient for all of your problems while completely ignoring things like sleep and stress and long-term sustainability, it's probably not the full picture.
And that really is the thought I want to leave you with. This reframes everything. Forcing your body into submission with all these extreme rules just sends it signals of stress and scarcity. But if you consistently provide it with quality food, enough rest, and manageable stress, you're giving it signals of safety. And a body that feels safe doesn't need to cling so desperately to its survival reserves. So what do you think? Have you ever been caught in this cycle before? Let me know down in the comments. I'd really love to hear your experiences with this, and I'll definitely be breaking down more of these myths in future explainers. Thanks so much for digging into this with me.